So I'm Luke, the creative director at Chill Bunny.
And I'm Xavier, the medical director at Chill Bunny.
Yes, and today we're going to be talking about contrast therapy as it relates to medical science and really putting a product and medical lens over what you experience in a contrast session. So I guess, Zave, what's your go-to contrast session?
My go-to contrast session would probably be with the infrared saunas, jumping in and really just spending about maybe 10 minutes. What I usually do, that's a really important point to say as well, is that everyone is different, and it's always important to check with your own healthcare provider, your GP, who knows you the best, because there are some groups who may need to reduce that time or reduce the temperature as well, because there are some high-risk factor groups out there, such as individuals with cardiovascular conditions, individuals that are pregnant, for instance, and they still can, especially with the low infrared saunas, which are actually the saunas that we have, with regards to the infrared saunas that we've invested in.
Absolutely. So we have a full spectrum 3-person infrared sauna, which is great because if you're doing a solo session, you can lie down. It's 1.80 m across, but you can also have 3 or 4 people in there at a gym. And that sauna, because it's full spectrum, it actually gets you hot. So that's really great in a contrast session because you need to be increasing and decreasing your temperature quite quickly, like replicating a traditional sauna really. And if you're in full low EMF, far infrared sauna, you're probably not going to get that. You're going to have to be in there for 45 minutes before you get back in the bath. So for me personally, I'll be in the sauna for 20 minutes and then I'll get in the bath for 1 minute, 2 minutes, to 3 to 5 degrees, and do that twice. And if you can have that at home, that's really the gold standard, because you're working out while you're resting, really, while you're chilling. And so what are some of the medical benefits specifically of contrast as opposed to just doing one or the other? Sure. It feels great.
So with contrast therapy, and I guess to explain what contrast therapy is, it's where we expose the body to a contrast of cold and hot immersion therapy, which is where, as Luke mentioned, jumping in from the ice bath into the sauna and then vice versa in a couple of cycles of that. What that does is it creates a bit of a shunting effect on your circulatory system, where when you're in cold water, as you would expect, that might, and it does, constrict your blood vessels, which is called vasoconstriction, and that will reduce the blood flow temporarily while you're in the bath. And that kind of helps if you're reducing the blood flow to the muscle, and then afterwards you jump in the hot contrast sauna.
Yes.
That'll then quickly boost and dilate all of those blood vessels, which is called vasodilation, increasing the flow to those muscles, and that creates a bit of a shunting effect, which helps flush out, you can say, the muscle and the joints to get more oxygen there, and also flush out the bad stuff, which you might call the inflammation, and there's a lot of medical jargon there.
But also, it also detoxes you additionally to that.
Exactly. And then there's the detox side of things, which contrast therapy actually does do as well, which is when you're in the sauna, it's quite well known that being in a sauna will open up a lot of your pores and help you and increase your sweat rate. So when those sweat pores open as well, they flush out a lot of, I guess, toxins, you could say.
Yes.
And some of the big ones could be like mercury, for instance, with the craze these days, tuna and the mercury that can build up in your body. And it's shown that sweating and the contrast therapy and opening those pores can really flush it out, which is a detox effect. And there's many other toxins, I guess, which also are eliminated through that process.
One big one I heard from a client of ours who owns a few Pilates studios in Sydney here. She said, I burn more calories in a contrast session than I do in one of my reformer classes. So over 45 minutes, her heart rate variability is so great, it's so large that she's burning calories simply just sitting there and doing something difficult. So that's really something that pretty much anyone can do.
Exactly.
If you've got the right scenario, the right circumstances around you. And that's why our slogans make wellness convenient, because if you have a situation like that at your house or at a gym nearby, or even you get down to the beach and then bask in the sun for a little bit, you'll benefit from it.
Absolutely, and there's many benefits that I'm sure we don't have the time to talk about today.
Yes.
Hopefully in the next session.
So thanks, Xavier, for your time today. And
thank you.
Yeah.